Or when we grew up, there would be people in town that would work with the orange trees, right? And you would watch them trim the orange trees, and they would trim those orange trees like they were in love with those trees because they were. That's how they treated, that's how a lot of people in our town treated that, and it was that learning that we all carry just from being from this little place. Now it's not as little as it used to be. I know that, but there's a certain flavor to this little town that we live in that I think we really ignore a lot of times. And I think in a certain way I wanted to just sort of raise my hand and say, it's working pretty good. And in case any of you guys want to stop and notice the stories, my advice is to sit down and write all your stories. That's what I'd do first. And especially if I grew up in this generation of kids from Corona, I'd start to figure out, like, what have I sort of seen along the way? Because here's an interesting thing. You'll come back to town and you'll be rolling through town and you go, well, what used to be there? Because by the time you come back, they will have torn it down twice, right? And something else will be there. Here's something that nobody knows. When we used to drive down 6th Street, there used to be orange groves on 6th Street. Can you imagine that, driving down 6th Street and having orange groves on the street? Mm-hmm. Actually, right, there were swaths of land and there were orange groves right on the street. So you'd have a building and an orange grove and a building, right? And just little things like knowing, for instance, where the first KFC went in when they built that. Remember down on 6th Street when they opened the KFC? Sort of more or less where it is now, I think. But nonetheless, that was the first one. And KFC was a pretty big deal at the time. And so we knew that. Or going to the old, this library here will be the old place that you used to go. And you'll talk to people about how you used to come to this place and how cool it was, how it was shaded out front, how you walked in and how they had the trees in here and how it felt when you walked through. And you'll talk about that kind of stuff. For us, there was this really cool old building up on Main Street. And you went in there, and it was a Carnegie-style architecture, and they had these little steps down on the right. And you'd go there during the summer, and there was 2 reasons you would go. You would pretend you were going to get the books, but when you went down those stairs in the summer, it was 105 degrees, and you went in that little room, it was, there you go. It was the only air-conditioned place in town, more or less. It wasn't air-conditioned, it was just naturally cool, right? So guess what? If you were a kid, it didn't take a PhD to figure out. If you went to the kids' library, you got to hang in a really cool space. And that's one of the stories that we would tell and talk about with people. And so all of those stories are the stories that make up. When I wrote the book, I'll talk to you a little bit about technically how things are seen in the world of corporate leadership today. In the world of corporate leadership today, they say what our leaders don't have is internal maturity. That the corporate world has turned into a place that what happens is that we have locked in so much on making money that we've lost the flavor of actually holding a space bigger than ourselves and taking care of the people that are part of the companies that we work for. And that's where they want leadership to actually go to in these days. So I spent an entire lifetime, reading and working towards, I had that intuitive understanding. As a very young corporate guy, I got that. But in the time I grew up, it wasn't very popular to say that, or that wasn't the thought. In 1977, when I started at Price Waterhouse, that wasn't a very popular thought. What we ought to do here is do something bigger than making a lot of money. In 1977, what they would have said is that you need to go and read something else until you can get back to the point that you understand that all there is making money, because that's how it was seen. So all of a sudden, the reason we entitled this Leadership in a Facebook World, isn't that what we called this little talk? Because what I saw was, guess what the new generation is saying to each other? Go out on Facebook and take a look at what people your age are saying to each other. So companies are smart, right? They're really smart. And they're seeing that the younger generations are saying, you know what, if we can't take care of the planet, right? Think about this. I can walk into a corporate office today and I can say the word sustainability. In 1977, if I'd have walked into a corporate office and said sustainability, they'd have said, you need to go down to the anthropology department in the local university, because that's where they do that. What we do here is make money. So when you're ready, you can come back anytime you want to make money, but you want to do sustainability, do that over there. Recycling, think of that word. That's a pretty cool word, right? That also belonged in some other department, not in a corporate world. Or I go up to a company like the North Face and ask them, what are you guys doing, right? Now, 20 years ago, you know what North Face was doing? It was making money. You know what they'll tell you today? We are creating the next generation of conservationists. That's what they think they're doing up there, right? Now they're selling a lot of cool stuff and they're creating a lot of product and they're really, really excited about it. But what creates and generates that excitement is that they're doing something bigger than just me. So when you go out onto Facebook and you start to take a look at this and we talk about, oh, technology's moving fast and this isn't good and it's quick and it's fast and it's not the way it used to be in the old days. Whatever, that's nice, and let the old people, whine about that, that's okay. But the cool thing about it is that what the new generation is bringing is that they're taking a stance. And that stance is, our life is going to be about something bigger than me. Think about what's really cool about that. You heard about those old stories I told you, right? All the old folks in Corona, that's what they taught us. 50 years ago, what did you learn in Corona? Life is about something bigger than just doing the stuff that we do.